Hi, welcome to my home. My name is Kathy, and in today's video we are going to be making some dry gravy mixes. I'm going to make up a brown gravy, a chicken gravy, and a mushroom gravy mix that you can have on your shelf and ready just to add a little bit to some hot water or broth and have yourself a nice rich gravy ready in minutes. Today's recipes were inspired by a video that Jenny over at Jenny's Scratch Made Kitchen did. I believe that that's her channel name. She recently had a name change to her channel, but I'll be sure to put a link down below to her channel so you can go over and watch her video. So don't go away, because when we come back we'll be in my kitchen and I'm going to show you how to get this put together. Okay, I'm going to start with a chicken gravy mix. First, I'm going to add 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Then I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, but you can also add arrowroot powder if you don't want the cornstarch. Now I'm going to add 1/2 cup of chicken bouillon. 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of poultry seasoning, 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, and I'm just going to break this up a bit more. I don't want those big pieces in the gravy, and having it ground up like this will also help distribute it through the dry mix better. Now next I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt, about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to give this a stir. Mix those together really well. And on these seasonings, you can adjust them however you want. So if you don't care for thyme, don't put thyme in. If you want extra thyme, put extra thyme in. Same goes for the salt or the onion or the garlic. Any of the seasonings, you can adjust those to your liking. Now I'm going to put this into a quart-size mason jar, but you can use any empty jar that you have. And there you have dry chicken gravy mix. Next up is the beef gravy mix. For this, we're going to start off with 2 cups of all-purpose flour, just like we did for the chicken. A 1/4 cup of cornstarch. And again, if you do not want to use cornstarch, you can use arrowroot powder, you can use, I think you can use garum powder, There's a few different things that you can use. If you don't want to use regular flour, maybe you want to use a gluten-free flour, you can do that as well. You may just need to use a little bit more of the cornstarch or arrowroot powder to help thicken it up, but you can certainly use a different flour. Next, we're going to add a half a cup of beef bouillon. Two tablespoons onion powder, 1 tablespoon garlic powder, one and a half teaspoons of marjoram, a teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of salt, have a teaspoon of parsley, just going to grind that up a little bit more, about a half a teaspoon of fresh black pepper, and give this a good stir. And there you have your dry mix for brown beef gravy. Now to this beef gravy, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of mushroom powder and just a little under a half a cup of mushroom chunks. Those are dried mushrooms. And just like that, we now have mushroom gravy. Now to make the gravy, you can take 2 tablespoons of fat, and that can be butter or beef fat. If you're making the chicken gravy, you can use chicken fat, whatever fat you have. Then you're just going to add a couple of tablespoons of the gravy mixture. Now you're just going to cook this for a few minutes. And basically what we're doing is just making a roux. You can really smell those mushrooms. It smells so good. And you could also, at this point, add fresh mushrooms in and cook those if you wanted a little bit of a chunkier soup with some fresh mushrooms in it. You could even saute the mushrooms in the butter before you add the gravy mixture. Okay, and now to this, we are going to add a cup of water. And we are just going to cook this until it thickens up. And you could also use some kind of a broth. You could use a beef broth, a vegetable broth. If you were doing the chicken one, chicken broth would be good in it. You could even use beer. Don't think I've ever tried the beer, but I know that Jenny mentions in her video, or in her, I don't know if she had mentioned in her video if it was online, that you could use beer with it. Can you see how that's getting nice and thick now? And if you needed more gravy, you know, just add more of the dry mix, more butter, and more water. Just do it, you know, if you wanted an extra half a cup, then you just do an extra you'd do 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 tablespoons of the dry mix, and 1.5 cups of water. And depending on how thick you want your gravy, even at this point, if you wanted to add more water, you could. Adjust it to your flavorings and taste and what your preferences are. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give this a taste. Okay, let's give this a taste. That is very good. You are going to love this. Well, I hope you liked today's video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please be sure to subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you on the next video. Bye now.